Welcome to Just Skin Deep, the podcast that explores the transformative power of plastic and reconstructive surgery and its impact on people's lives. I'm still your host, Rametsi. Today we are switching things up a bit. We are not going to be talking about how people got body parts cut or how they were cut into. Instead, we're going to talk about a skin condition that's not all too rare. We are going to be talking about vitiligo. And helping us talk about that is our guest, Boitumelo Rametsi. How are you and welcome?
Thank you for having me. I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. First things first. How and when did the condition start?
When I was very young, around the age of 11, 12, and I had a very small spot under my stomach. My scalp as well would just start changing pigment, but I wouldn't see much of it because of my hair. Unless I braided it, which is when I would see between the lines. And mostly my sweaty parts. So even in my private area, it was just like a small spot. So that's how it came to spreading more on my face instead, and the middle part of my face.
No.
Because I sweat so much on my nose. So that's when I got my first spot when I was 18 on my face.
And obviously at that time, you don't think much of it, right?
Yeah, and it was just one spot. So I was just like, okay, it's one spot. I didn't really think too much into it. And then my first year of varsity was when it started spreading a bit more. And that's when I really took it seriously. And I did my research at school and came home really upset, crying to my mom,
shame, man.
what exactly is this? And how am I supposed to build my life, continue moving forward, even consider having babies when I myself cannot believe or deal with what's going on? So that's how it just broke out.
But what causes it though?
According to the doctors, it's stress, or it shows up because of any fundamentally big situation that you experience in your life. But as a kid, I didn't go through that. There wasn't anything big that I experienced for the first spot to show, and then, I questioned myself. So when I did, I went to the Mother and Child Hospital Coronation.
Okay.
And they had given me some ointments and things to use, but it didn't really last long because it was just like the size of a 5 rand just on my baby, and I still have that. And then the
first spot,
and the ointments that they gave me actually were working because that very spot was spotting with pigment again. But it didn't really bother me much, so I moved on, and now that's led us to where I am. Fast forward, 19 years old.
You're 19 currently?
No, so just between matric and my first year.
So now you say, like you said, 19 first spot. You're a young woman.
On my face.
You're a young woman at that time. And, young women, we all want to look cute. We all want to look beautiful. How has having this condition changed your perception on beauty? And what was your journey of self-acceptance? What has it been like?
My journey of self-acceptance is very dual, if I could say. The first part of my life, I grew up experiencing being bullied. And I say bully in inverted commas because I didn't experience direct bullying. But just in the sense of what the standard of beauty was growing up was someone who's light-skinned and someone who's skinny. The thinner you are, slender.
You're preaching to the choir.
You better go on. So by the time I was exiting high school, so between like grade 11 and just starting my first year, body positivity started coming into play. So it just seemed like I had overcome just that part of beauty being identified as small, but now big girls were being seen. And in that process, that's when my first spot started. So now it's like, wow, I went from dealing with just not being accepted as a big girl, and then now I'm not being accepted with the skin that I have. And I grew up with perfect skin, still have perfect skin, but perfect in the identity of there's not a spot, a flaw, a pimple, no nothing. I just grew up being a Pond's girl. Matte face.
That's it.
Lip gloss.
Hey,
that girl. And it was just great. So the transition of moving from that to just being so minimalistic to now my skin changing on my face. And
looking different.
Yeah, and it wasn't that much of a difference, but when I went to the doctor again for the second time around, the advice was just use makeup to kind of just suppress
cover
things.
it.
Yeah, to cover it and basically make you feel like you've always felt all along.
Yes, yes.
Besides all the other recommendations that they have, such as, you know, going for phototherapy or skin grading, where they're gonna take your melanated part of your skin, remove that, and place it where the spots aren't. There's
no,
a
that
couple of
sounds a lot. That sounds like it's a lot. Because I'm thinking now on the face, how's that gonna work?
On the face, it's phototherapy. So phototherapy is when you lay inside this thing. You don't always lay. There's some that you're standing. So it's like a little fridge, like a sunbed. You lay in there, and the treatment is as per you starts for a few minutes, and the longer you've been there, the longer time is increased in the sunbed. So what that does is basically reawaken the cells that have died in your skin and your melanin. So the spots that have most recently appeared are the ones that are most likely to
it's like getting a tan.
Yeah,
essentially.
Exactly, it is. Except the process for me is painful because even if I've only been there for a minute, when I come out of there, at least in the next 10 minutes, I'll go red. So it's like a sunburn, but it's just reawakening.
So now you have to deal with that.
Yes. So you spend at least, and you have to go to this treatment twice in a week. So you'd go and attend and do the thing and burn for a couple of days, and then obviously in the next, when it starts healing and you know it's calming down, your skin is not inflamed, you're going again for another 2 minutes, and then
it sounds a lot.
It is, but it works. But it is. It's about which battle you're choosing to fight.
And how long would something like that last? How long would it take?
I think it's a lifelong thing.
So you have to go in like maybe every 3 months or whatever?
No, this is a weekly process. So as I say, twice in a week ideally. And at the time, it was 2013, I think, to 12, and it costed about 250 to 300 rand a session. Session being a minute. So for work, rush to like 7 a.m. appointment all the way in Pretoria because they're not actually easily accessible as well. Get there, 2 minutes, rush to work because, you know, you have that plan and intention and trying to just get past this.
So have you stopped or do you still...
Oh, no, I stopped that very time. So, like I was saying, I went from matric, then got into my first year of varsity, and then it started spreading a bit more. So I started doing makeup, and that's how my brand came about, B Glam. I felt that because as an artist, I was self-taught, still am a self-taught artist. I can do anything. Makeup was into play. Kim K was all about face baking. So it didn't really come off as me steering away from what's actually happening, but just being part of the culture. And the culture was not comfortable for me because, as you can see, I'm always just like glowing in my face and wiping my face off. So a full face beat for me cannot work, especially because I'm so accustomed to just having my face as it is. Like I said, pons, lip gloss, you do the brow, and you know, so it was a huge transition. I went from doing a full face beat and now my skin being like this. That was a progressive state for my brand in the sense that makeup became about enhancing your beauty than making you beautiful because it was just like, oh my God, I need to look like this and I need to look a certain way. But I started seeing that people need to see themselves in the light of already being godly and beautiful as you are and finding those parts of your face that you love and you want to enhance them, not change it and be like, oh, my nose is too broad because I'm a black person, and you just have to make it smaller. Like you feel like, oh, it doesn't look thin enough. That type of energy is just what I was steering away from. So yeah.
What moved you into body positivity, and how do you use your platform to educate others and help them through whatever condition that they're going through?
In retrospect, my entire identity shifted me into body positivity. As mentioned, I was a big girl, but I've never been...
You're not a big girl.
I'm a big girl.
Nah,
and big girl in the sense
big,
of
baby. This
big
is big.
bone.
Well, now you just... Man.
I am there.
I
am there. And I've always known that.
Yeah.
And by God's grace, I've had a parent who's seen my body for what it is and not tried to also dress me to look like other kids. But I always dressed up really good. I was always in sportswear, the latest clothing. So my identity didn't make me feel ashamed.
So it wasn't a conscious thing. It was subconscious.
Yeah, subconscious in the way that people would treat me. So it only show about with boys. So boys being around, and obviously they'll go for the tiny girl. But at that time, I would feel like it was because of my body and my identity. But now when I look back, it's more about the fact that my presence is so dominating and it's there that someone who's young and also figuring themselves out wouldn't know what to do with it either. So it's fully understandable that we were there. But that got me there, and I said, as soon as that industry started coming to a rise, then my skin got into play as well. So that process in itself is what led me to body positivity, because I just wanted to look and be myself again without question. So taking a photo of myself with no makeup on and just seeing myself as to how I really look was the first step in doing that. And it's not that it didn't come with backlash. It did, because some guy said that I looked like I had semen on my face.
No.
They did.
Rude.
Very rude. And that was also still in the very beginning phases of social media and
People
just
are
growing.
annoying.
So I just deleted the comments and then vented on Facebook, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this just happened, but whatever. And I moved on swiftly from that, because that was just the phase in which I had to decide whether I'm going to continue still choosing to just be myself and dealing with backlash, or if I'm going to cocoon back into just put makeup on and just not have a conversation about it.
And just keep it moving.
Yeah, but my comfort has always been more important than anything. I need to feel good. I need to be comfortable. So another person's opinion has never just influenced my decision in that way.
How do you spread all this positivity? Because, wow.
It's basically in being myself. So it's not always in a fruitful light, but it's a daily battle that I choose to keep choosing me. And in that process, people are inspired to also choose to be themselves more. You could take it as offensive at first. I mean, when someone's like, if you love yourself, how can I not love myself? And it's like, what in heaven's earth does that mean? Please explain further. But I have to have empathy and fully understand where the person's coming from, that they're also not seeing themselves and they devalue themselves and they think that they should be influenced by what they're seeing outside of themselves, but really, it really starts with how you decide to feel. So me doing that allows for a person to feel inspired to be themselves again. So it's just choosing you and living your life as authentically as possible.
Okay, so now you're in this industry, right? Beauty, fashion, and all of that. And you are as different as they come.
Yes.
How has the industry accepted you?
They accepted me in the journey of me accepting myself.
Yeah.
As I was saying now, like, it's only as acceptable as you make it out to be. And it's always a constant daily thing. It's like when you pray about certain beliefs and you believe a certain thing, God should only present you with opportunity to prove that. If you really do believe that about yourself, let's see. Yeah. And I'm going to be faced with a situation where someone has something to say, or I can be treated in a certain way, or even at work, just dealing with a makeup artist that has a brief of their own. And I also have a brief of my own. I'm not just a model that is a canvas and just do whatever. Yes. I have a lot that I stand for. Yeah. So in that process, when I'm signed to an agency, it kind of comes off as me being rebellious, and I'm not a productive model, because this is the brief and this is the look that we're going for. And I'm like, but this is not how I look generally on a normal day. And I want to look this way. And it did have a backlash on me that, like the client wants to talk to the agency and this model is doing this.
She's being difficult. She's being a diva.
Yes. And it was just like, that's okay. That's really okay.
But have you found that they were trying to box you in? Or sometimes maybe they don't know what to do with you.
Yeah,
do you put makeup on her face? Do you leave it?
Yeah, that's always the discussion. But I think the journey in itself in the industry comes with, we're in a place where authenticity sells. And every brand generally wants to incorporate themselves in that, even if they have nothing to do with the identity or how things look, but they want to be part of that. And they'll do anything to be a part of that. And you'll see it seep through the cracks when you are part of the experience, and then you see that you missed this part. Or the kind of questions you're asking me, it seems like you're talking to any regular model that doesn't experience the certain things that they're experiencing, but you can pick that up in the process that they really just want to dive in and fit in, and they're not really as authentic. So it varies.
When was your aha moment? You were like, this is now my life, and I'm accepting it, and I'm going to help others.
It was when my inbox flooded with support and love, and it came from various different types of people. So it wasn't just specifically people with vitiligo, whether it's someone with burnt skin or a lot of pimples or just an identity crisis. They would send me messages talking about how they're happy that they follow me and my feed is making them feel good, and they know that they can make it and they can do things better, and they can also live their lives as they are and not trying to forge themselves into what the society expects us to look like. So then for me was a big aha moment that this is more about self and a reflection of self and your self-identity, because the experiences that I had are not so different from everyone else's experience. The only difference is how I choose to respond to it, and if I choose to entertain it as well, because there's always bad comments everywhere. It's really about you and what you choose to follow.
And people are so damn rude.
Yeah.
Speaking of rudeness, you mentioned earlier that somebody said you look like you have semen on your face. What other comments or misconceptions are there about vitiligo? I'm sure there's a lot.
The one big one is that your identity is a trend. So I went through...
Hold up. What? Wait, what?
Yes.
How is your identity a trend?
In the sense that my brand has come to such full fruition, and it's somehow aligned with international models such as Winnie Harlow.
Yeah.
So it kind of seems like the fruits of her work have kind of led me to being where I am, because we're obviously in a country that's trying to also meet the standards of, other countries that are just leading in the global industry of fashion, beauty, and everything like that. So because, like I mentioned, every brand is trying to tap into the identity of authenticity and living your life, every brand wants a piece of somebody that is doing something, or let's just have a conversation about it, or let's just do something about it. So because there's such a buzz around it, people would also assume that, it's because you look like that girl. So now, like, you're everywhere. It's going so great for you, hey?
Wow.
And it's just like, okay, definitely not because of my hard work my entire life. Thank you so much. So, yeah.
What other misconceptions are there about the condition?
Traditionally, that, like, just in terms of culture, it's obviously something foreign and bizarre. So it's called Mollo wa Badimo in Sotho, meaning that it's the fire of the gods. Also meaning that you could have done something wrong and they're burning you about it. So you need to plea, which is fully understandable from the world that we live in. It really does make sense that they would try and go that route. But yeah, and also that it's very close to being albinism, or do you have albinism? Or
and I guess now it's up to you to now educate the masses to say, no, this is actually what's happening.
Yeah. And that it doesn't affect you. I'm not sick, I'm not anything, but I have to work on preserving myself more than you would that is fully melanated. But at the end of the day, we both have to have sunscreen on. We both should be taking care of our skin. So it's just for me that it's a sensitive matter, and it's at an extended rate that I would go out of my way to take care of myself.
So I wake up one day and then I notice a couple of spots. Any advice?
I've received that question a lot. And my advice always is that you should go to the doctor and have it checked.
And I have spots, but mine are dark, not...
Yeah.
So it's
and it's really just a matter of having it checked and finding out whether it's going to spread or not. And then, therefore, it's really about making a decision for yourself as to, can you move forward this way? And if you can, it's also just like not being stressful about it, because the skin condition is also found to be that it's triggered by stress or anything huge that can happen in your life. So with the people that I've met along the journey, it's proven itself true, because their skin condition has spread much faster than mine has as well. It has fully blown out also in a short duration of time, like whether it's a matter of a year or even 6 months.
wow.
It's very different for everybody.
Yeah. Your favorite photo shoot celebrating vitiligo? Top of your head.
I feel like it's very hard to answer that in the sense that it wasn't specified that it's celebrating vitiligo, but more so being able to live your life even with vitiligo and you're still seen as a person that is part of something and belongs. The one first campaign that I did was with Gillette Venus. And they gave me full freedom to, create as I want to. And it had to do with, I incorporated art in it and just seeing myself as a galactic person. That, if I had to be anything, I'd be a galaxy. Because I'm dark and I've got stars. And, just that in its sense. And another brand would be Brutal Fruit, You Belong. That was the most recent campaign that I had worked on just last year. That was amazing.
I think I've seen that one.
Yes, that was really, really amazing. And I feel like it definitely does tie into the brand authenticity and who you're about, because I was not grouped with people that have vitiligo. And then it's just about the awareness that, oh my gosh, there's people like this. But the fact that I look this way, I'm still part of the community. I'm still part of this country. I'm still part of an everyday lifestyle that doesn't actually need to be questioned.
I just got distracted there for a minute. You're such a positive person. Surely people come at you sideways and it hurts a bit. How do you deal with it? Because let's be honest, and they will come at you sideways. How do you keep your composure?
It's a practice. Like I mentioned, it's a daily practice.
You need to teach me.
It's a practice in all your little engagements. It's about being able to know that, for me, it's the fact that a positive comment and a negative comment are of full equilibrium, in the sense that it's a person's opinion of me. So I don't get too excited or even happy when someone compliments me, because I know already. It's just, I'm so glad that you can see it. And that means that you are just as beautiful as I am, because what you see in me is definitely what's happening inside of you. Everyone outside of you is a reflection of yourself. So same with the negative comments. Same thing as to how I take it. It's as good as the positive comments, that it's great. I see it as an opinion of yourself.
Yeah.
So
having come this far in your journey, if you can call it that even, what would you tell your younger self?
I would definitely tell my younger self to keep being myself, because as I mentioned in retrospect, like, as much as I was different from everyone else, I was where I was celebrated. To be where you're celebrated is very important, and to be where you also see yourself to be. I didn't have much control of that as a child, of course. I was blessed with a parent that had the capacity to give me everything that I need. So I never ever desire for anybody's life. But generally, being where you're celebrated is important, and always trusting myself and knowing that what I believe and know about myself is true. And to just keep going, because being creative is something that has always been a part of me. It's self-taught. Like, I can sing, I can dance, I can draw, I can paint, I can do anything that I'm taught to do now.
Yeah.
I'm very easily adaptable. I'm very versatile. So it's great, but it has its shortcomings, because as I mentioned, I always have to be tested. And when I look back now, in every experience I've had, even in relationships and peopling and things that I do, I always somehow end up alone, and alone in solitude, in the sense that someone is probably still catching up with my train and frame of thought and how I see things. But I always just trust my guns.
Tell us about Spotted Beauty, the campaign. What is it all about?
Spotted Beauty is a brand.
I like the
it's
name.
Me. It's a model.
Love the name.
It's just me as a model, as well as me signifying the fact that beauty is spotted. It's in the eye of the beholder. It's you seeing that. So besides literally being spotted this way, but it's me spotting beauty and also being able to pour the kind of energy I have into another person. Because like you're saying, like, how do I pour and share the positivity, and people want a piece of it. Like, okay, so now what do I do? Or some people think I run an agency, and it's like, it's not really about that. It's like the moment I have of realizing something, and then I can share it as well.
So you're just spreading the love.
Yes.
I love that.
Thank you.
So now I have to ask, what is Boitumelo's definition of beauty?
That beauty is who you are as a person. Beauty is you finding what makes you different to everybody else, is what actually makes you beautiful. And just seeing it in that way.
I am stealing that.
It is what makes you beautiful, because there's no one like you. As much as I am so evidently not like everyone else, like you can see it, but you are definitely not like anybody else. You can have similarities, and maybe there's like traits that we follow, but you are you.
Yeah.
And you should only strive to bringing that out more. That, like, even if it's your laugh, let it be known how infectious it is, and you just love it so much.
See what you're doing now? Just spreading the positivity. My goodness, you're gonna be bad for me when like all this.
Very good for you.
No. Do you often feel like you're just known as the girl with vitiligo? You're the vitiligo girl. Like, do you think that maybe when people see you, they don't see you, but see your condition instead?
I used to feel that way when I had my first spot.
Yeah.
When someone would look at me, I'd always firstly think that they must be looking at the spot on my face and wondering what it is. But now, far from it. Like, as I mentioned, I'm very integrated and versatile. People don't see me as just that. And the brands that I've worked with, I've also ensured that my identity as a person, my personality, my character shows and brings itself out there. So you cannot only solely focus on my skin.
Yeah.
But even if they do, it's the fact that they're just so amazed at the fact that I look nothing like them and nothing like anybody in society at this moment, but how I carry myself, how I walk with joy and pride, and also don't question myself is what gets me to where I am.
Wow. Yeah, because there aren't a lot of people with vitiligo,
There actually are, now that I have it, but when my skin change started out, I hardly ever saw anybody.
Yeah,
So
because I hardly ever.
I have a huge hunch that it must be in the food as well.
Oh, they're spreading it in the food.
They're spreading it in the food. Something is definitely going on, but hey.
What's next for Boitumelo?
What's next for me is global work.
Oh, hey now. Oh, hey now.
I've
the
been
world is not
blessed.
ready.
It's not. I'm not ready, but I am at the same time. But I think they are, because I've worked with a lot of international brands while I'm here. I feel like I'm also hugely internationally recognized, more than I am here as well. I've worked with Forever 21, and that was also international, and we have them here. Savage Fenty. That was also one of the biggest campaigns that I loved.
Look at you.
Yeah, it's like, just did some work for Riri. Thanks. But hey, it's cute. So for me, being recognized by people so far is a big thing for me. That, I don't have to pitch myself. I don't have to, I'm not convincing anybody of who I am and what I'm about. But the fact that my brand is easily recognized and also celebrated, that we see you and we'd love to be a part of you and who you are, so it's an honor for me to do something like that, work with people, and actually also just give my best, because you're recognizing my greatness, so I should give you greatness too.
But I think, I'm going to lend it to you.
Okay.
You're the bomb diggity.
Ooh.
You are absolutely, absolutely awesome.
Thank you.
Mona, your light, I hope it shines. And so you can spread your positivity and joy to the rest of the world. We need people like you in the world.
Thank you. It makes me believe I'll live longer if God
actually
sees that I'm needed on this planet.
No, you have to. You have to. And I like the fact that you haven't let your condition define you. Instead, you defining it. Bomb diggity.
Bomb diggity.
Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you
here.
having me. It was so
And
good.
that's it. We had another episode down the drain. If you want to watch this episode and other episodes, www.snl24.com is where you will find them. Or just follow us, SNL24, on all social media platforms. And that's it.
Thank you for tuning into Just Skin Deep.